To many people, it doesn't take some random YouTuber to get people to know that Cave Story's music is good. Some may say it's really good, and I would even go out and say that it is phenomenal. Something I feel like is getting lost recently though, is one of the key reasons to why Cave Story's music is so dang good. Sure, the songs themselves on their own are great pieces of art, but there is one thing I feel is getting lost when talking about the jams, and that's the story the music tells. Something a lot of series don't do is have storytelling through their music, and it is really hard to do. Take a series like Pokemon for example. This series has bangers all over its discography, but its battle themes are something that are replayed over and over again. Sure, it has some emotional pieces when it needs them, but the soundtracks of Pokemon games isn't entirely built around the story. Now, let's go back to Cave Story, but one more thing before I do, I would just like to give a heads up that I won't be looking at every song or situation that I would like to. Just some songs I feel like really push the point I'm trying to tell. Okay, let's talk about the tracks. I, of course, am going to start with Gestation. It's the music within the first cave, and it's a song that starts so quiet and slowly, yet leans itself more with more layers and volumes, and simply put it, it's a wonderful way to make an intro song work. Technically Access is the first song you hear, but Gestation as the first song with gameplay is wonderful. It fits into quote having amnesia, and that both the player and quote are slowly easing and discovering this new world that they find themselves in. And this level of care and quality in Cave Story's music is found throughout the entire game. Even after receiving your first task to find Sue an egg corridor, Mischief Robot starts playing, and it kind of plays the same role of starting slow, but it doesn't start from nothing like Gestation does. It starts off jaunty with a few tones, but again introduces more layers to the song, and I feel the reason it does this is because you finally have some footing at this point. You've experienced fighting enemies, a boss, getting power-ups and items, and you even have some form of foundation of a story, so you're officially ready to get up and go. And Mischief Robot does a wonderful job of telling that kind of feel. Now before I cut into more of how deep Cave Story's music goes into its story, I feel it's important to talk a lot about its soundtrack remakes. This whole time I've been referring to about the original Organia version of the soundtrack. The game has had officially remade soundtracks to try and capture a more modern version, and even fans have taken many good cracks at remaking the whole soundtrack. And while all these efforts are good, there are some things many remakes don't get right. Easily the most missed song in my eyes is Eyes of Flame. Eyes of Flame is always the first song I try and listen to when getting into new soundtracks. You see, at the beginning of the track in the Organia version, there's an intense sequence of notes that most remixes just miss entirely. A lot of soundtracks often cut the amount of notes or reduce the pacing of the notes, and it really feels like it takes the intensity out of the song. While I hope I haven't ruined your soundtrack with this little test, I do hope that whenever a new soundtrack comes out, you try out the patented Eyes of Flame test that I just got the copyrights for. Even soundtracks that I love and recommend everybody listen to, like DM Dokuro's Arranged soundtrack, fails the Eyes of Flame test in my eyes. Go test it out with your favorite soundtrack and definitely let me know what you feel about it in the comments below. Getting back into how great Organia is, I want to look at Mimiga Village as a whole. Mimiga Village is easily the most visited map in all of Cave Story. It's your hub world, really. It has a wonderful song that sounds so humbling compared to the rest of the OST, that reflects the Mimiga perfectly. Even places like Graveyard and Yamashita Farm have their own songs to continuously flesh out the village even more. Mimiga Village is a place where you feel safe and you can always go back to when you need some safety or slowness. And that is, until it isn't. After getting to a certain point in the game, Mimiga Village is abandoned and quiet begins to play. The Mimiga are all gone, and there's no feeling of safety after realizing the village has been invaded and its inhabitants kidnapped. There's a feeling of sadness, failure, loss, and quiet drives those feelings to an 11. It's wonderful, and I love quiet because of it, despite of how depressing it could be. Another song with this same feeling is Balcony. Balcony has such low and high tones. They contrast each other heavily, and there's almost no in-between, and it works. By the time you begin to listen to Balcony, you know you're approaching the end, yet there's almost no reason to go on. You progress and see many Mimiga have turned to Ravel, where you realize they aren't coming back. You have done nothing but lose, and have always been just barely too late throughout all of Cave Story, and Balcony really drives this feeling strong. It is as calming as it is confusing. You have little to no reason to keep going, yet you do, and this is the song that plays you to your final hurrah. I'll go a bit more into this moment in a future video because I debate Balcony as one of, if not the most important sequence throughout all of Cave Story, and I hope I can get you all to agree. Alright, wipe your tears. It's time to hear some happier tunes. That's right, we're gonna be talking about Hero's End. No, okay, wait, hear me out. Hero's End is actually really dope for new players. The song itself is bad. It feels like the wrong buzzer as a song, and that's because you got the worst ending. The fact that Hero's End plays and you get no shot at hearing the actual real ending theme, The Way Back Home, is just great. The Way Back Home is wonderful. It is satisfaction given in audio form, and Hero's End robs that of you, and you don't know you've been robbed of that experience until you decide to make a different change. The last song I want to cover, for now anyways, is Labyrinth Fight. The song is the theme that plays when you first get to team up with Curly, and it does a rad job of being the theme that plays when the two robots fight together for the first time. This segment of the game is wonderful and satisfying as hell. You're constantly teased with Curly being another robot like you, yet something always holds her back, whether it be the Mimiga or her recovery in the labyrinth. But then you're finally given the moment that you get to fight with who is your one and only known friend. The song feels like a team-up theme, and it's great for doing that. It works so well, and I used to believe that Labyrinth Fight was Curly's theme because of how well it worked with her. Come to my 15-year-old self surprised that, of course, I was wrong, but it doesn't take away from the moment. That song serves perfectly for where it's at. Anyways, I'd love to take an even deeper look at Cave Story's music and more moments where I feel like it hits harder, but I want to save that for a different video. After all, I gotta talk about Moonsong some point, am I right? I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I can't wait to hear about your favorite tracks and opinions on this video. Until my next one, Nerdieo is out.